The Social Contract is a political and philosophical treatise written by Jean-Jacques Rousseau and published in 1762. It explores the principles of political legitimacy, the nature of government, and the rights and obligations of individuals within a society. Rousseau's work had a profound influence on political thought and played a significant role in shaping modern democratic ideals. In The Social Contract, Rousseau begins by discussing the concept of the social contract, which is the voluntary agreement among individuals to form a society and establish a government. He argues that the social contract is the foundation of legitimate political authority, as it creates a collective entity known as the general will, that represents the common interests of the community. Rousseau distinguishes between two types of will: the individual will, which represents personal desires and interests, and the general will, which represents the common good and the collective interests of the community as a whole. According to Rousseau, the general will is always right and reflects what is best for society. Rousseau proposes a form of direct democracy in which citizens participate directly in the formulation and enactment of laws. He argues that this form of government allows individuals to exercise their freedom and maintain their sovereignty while ensuring that their actions align with the general will. Rousseau also addresses the concept of the civil state, or the relationship between the individual and the state. He argues that individuals must willingly surrender some of their natural rights to the state in order to preserve the common good and maintain social order. However, the state has a responsibility to protect the individual rights and liberties of its citizens. Critique of The Social Contract includes the following points. 1. Ambiguity of the general will. Critics argue that Rousseau's concept of the general will is vague and open to interpretation. The difficulty lies in determining how the general will is identified and whether it accurately represents the true interests of the community. Some claim that Rousseau's notion of the general will may lead to the suppression of minority rights in favor of the majority's will. 2. Feasibility of direct democracy. Critics question the practicality of Rousseau's vision of direct democracy, especially in larger and more complex societies. They argue that direct participation by citizens in decision-making processes may be inefficient, time-consuming, and logistically challenging. 3. Lack of individual autonomy. Some critics argue that Rousseau's emphasis on the collective general will may undermine individual autonomy and personal freedoms. They claim that his theory of the social contract places significant restrictions on individual liberty and may neglect the importance of individual rights and diversity of interests. 4. Oversimplification of human nature. Critics contend that Rousseau's understanding of human nature is overly idealistic and romanticized. They argue that his assumption of a naturally good and virtuous human nature does not account for the complexities and potential selfishness of individuals in society. 5. Lack of inclusion of women. Critics highlight the exclusion of women from Rousseau's social contract theory. His work does not address the rights and roles of women within the political community, reflecting the gender biases of his time. Despite these critiques, The Social Contract remains a significant work in political philosophy, inspiring debates on the nature of government, the role of citizens, and the principles of democracy. Rousseau's ideas continue to shape discussions on political legitimacy, individual rights, and the relationship between the individual and the state.